Welcome back to another video, guys. You probably clicked on this video because you either have your shoulder surgery scheduled or you have a labrum tear. You've either dislocated your shoulder or anything of that sort. This is a video you want to watch. I'm not a doctor. I don't have any degree in sports medicine or anything of that sort. I'm just telling you my experience, where I'm at currently, what the first week entails. So if you guys want to see that and you want to know some more insight and some info on my progression, not necessarily what yours would look like, not necessarily what somebody else's would be, just what I've experienced so far. So without further ado, I want to answer a lot of questions, a lot of things that I'm going through currently. Let's get into it. So starting back in 2025 at the beginning, I had a motocross accident with another rider and we locked bars and it ended up throwing me on the ground. I landed on my right side, which caused my right shoulder to dislocate. I immediately got up and I'm like, ooh, something is not right. And so I was like, okay. So I grabbed my shoulder and I felt it pop back in place and all was good. I rode the bike back to the camper, slept for the night, woke up again that morning. It dislocated again at 3 a.m. and I said, nope, I'm not racing tomorrow. We drove back home. I spent the next year and a half strengthening it, getting x-rays, making sure everything is okay, so that way this doesn't happen again, because I know it's not something you should mess with, and it was my first go at it, so I didn't really know much. Fast forward to a month ago, July 13th, I dislocated it again. I was racing, and it wasn't a wreck-related injury. A lot of tension was on my arms in the wreck. If you want to see that video, I have another video that I'll link up here if you want to see that. But basically, it yanked my shoulder out of place again, pretty gnarly, enough for me to just let go of the bike. It was not fun. It was not anything easy. I popped it back in place again. My whole shoulder was out here. I popped it back in place again, and then I knew right away that something was not right. So I was like, all right, I need some answers. I go to the first doctor, I get some answers. The dates were a long way away, and I was like, this is really serious, so we need to get some answers. I feel like a lot sooner, not because I'm impatient, but because I felt like time is ticking, and I knew the recovery was going to be not just 2 weeks. So I was like, well, we need to get some answers as soon as possible. So I contacted another sports medicine facility, an orthopedic facility, and they said, yeah, we can get you in. First, we need to get you an MR arthrogram, which basically they go in and inject the dye into your shoulder socket. Then they put you in the MRI machine, they scan you, and they just gets a whole detailed look of all the labrum, the tendons, everything in your shoulder that they need to see, that your radiologist needs to see, to then tell your surgeon and your doctor what we're looking at and what needs to happen and what is probably the best course of action. So that's what I did. I got the MR arthrogram. Then I went and saw my doctor, and it was probably maybe a 20-minute visit. And in that 20-minute visit, he said, you know, if you were 50 years old, we would probably tell you to take a different route. But since you're 18, you're young, you're competing, you're an athlete, you're fit, we recommend surgery, and I think that's what we should do. I said, absolutely. I went into that saying, I am willing to do whatever it takes to get back to normal with this shoulder, however long it takes. And so that's what I set out to do. And he said, all right, we're going to get you in for surgery on August the 28th. And I was like, okay, so we got about 3 weeks. And he's like, at the time, you have your sling on now. Take it off until surgery. I don't want you getting stiff. I want it off. I want you to use it, because when you get surgery, you're not going to be able to use it much. And I'm like, okay. So I did that. That was on Monday, August 7th? No, that was on Monday, August 1st. And we went to the doctor, left, and on that Friday, so we went Monday, Tuesday they called, hey, we have a cancellation for surgery this Friday. If you want to, we can bump you up this Friday for your surgery. And we're like, bet. So we scheduled that surgery. We went up Friday. It took you can look at the shorts that I posted right after the surgery and what it kind of entailed. You can go look at that. But we got there at 8:30, we left at 2:30, and it was pretty in and out, nothing. They were very great. The people that are there at the hospital we went to, They did great, and I just can't stress enough how great they were. But we got that done. I got home Friday night. There was a nerve block that they put to numb the whole side of your shoulder. It basically numbed from here all the way to my shoulder, all the way to the tip of my fingers, and I couldn't command my hand to move at all until about 7:30 that night. I could barely get my wrist to like flick up a little bit, and then fast forward to 3 a.m., the nerve block wore off, and I was feeling all the pain. Of course, they gave me medicine. They gave me stuff to control the pain, not take it away, but control it the best I can. And that's what I did. So that was Friday night into Saturday morning. Saturday, Sunday, Monday were pretty rough, very painful. The biceps tendon, I think, is what it is. I'm not a doctor again. It could be something completely different, but I think it's the tendon that runs along here. That's my main complaint currently. It stretches. It doesn't stretch, but it kind of pulls a little bit if I'm up and moving around for too long. So that's kind of a little bit of a pain. But the pain, I would say, in the actual socket part and everything subsided on, safe to say, Wednesday. So that would put us about 5 days after surgery. The interior socket pain subsided, and I was just down to ibuprofen and Tylenol. I wasn't using any of the other medications they prescribed me, and it was pretty easy to mitigate the pain then. I took the next day, I slowly eased off all medicine, and now it's just ibuprofen before bed, and that's it. And so that's great. The pain is pretty well subsided. It does have twinges. There's a lot of different things that I'm going to get into next, but that's the whole story that you get to hear from beginning to now. So now I'm going to talk about what mobility looks like, movement, day-to-day life, how long I have this stinking thing on, and what recovery looks like. So let's move to the next location, and I'll talk about that. So recovery is a very lengthy process. It consists of, I have a 2-week follow-up, a 6-week follow-up, a 3-month follow-up, and a 6-month follow-up. So basically 6 months of, for sure, physical therapy, recovery, and I obviously follow up with the surgeon 6 months from now. So about February will be the last time, that I know that we'll be going to the surgeon. So that's what I know right now. As far as physical therapy, so basically what happened is they go in there and they repair the labrum. He also said, you also have the glenoid on the top. I don't know the logistics of it. I don't know all the names, but I know that there were some other repairs they had to do other than the labrum. And if you look at the microscope that they used in there, because it was arthroscopic surgery, so they didn't like slice my whole shoulder open. It's 3 to 4 holes, and basically they put like rods in there and then put the camera in there and use all their fun little surgeon things in there. Your whole shoulder, if you're looking to see how the surgery is going to go, your whole shoulder is not going to be sliced open, I promise. I have a tattoo on here, and they didn't even hit the tattoo. So it's the trauma outside of the skin related is very minimal. I have like 3 stitches, well, I guess it'd be 6 stitches total, and it's not bad. And yeah, that side of it is not bad at all. As far as what they did inside, if you look at the pictures, I'm not going to show you those because it's kind of but if you look at the pictures, there's these green like strands that they put in there, and basically those green strands anchored it so it can heal back to the labrum and everything in there. So that's what they did in there. But what that causes is this surgery doesn't make my shoulder ready to go again like that. It sets me up for success later down the road. So currently, I will show you here in a little bit what my mobility looks like, but currently the recovery looks like in 5 days from now, I'll have my follow-up with my surgeon. The day after, I'll have physical therapy. Physical therapy will start very, very low impact, very low, just getting a grip of what mobility looks like currently, and then we'll go from there. Physical therapy, he said we're going to be very aggressive with it. We need to get this as mobile as possible, so it's going to not be the most fun. I'm fully prepared for that because there's a lot of scar tissue that heals over, and you pretty much got to go in and break all that up. And not necessarily what sounds fun, but that's kind of where the mindset of, if you sacrifice this time now for a greater result later on down the road, it will set you up for success later. So it sucks right now. It's not fun. There's not a lot of things I can do. Showering sucks. But there's a whole lot of positives. This gives me time to focus on what I want to do after, when I do get recovered, when I do get ready to go again, and it's nice. Currently, as far as sleeping, I have to sleep with this on for 3 weeks, and I get this off in 3 weeks, and so I have, let's see, I would have 13 days left to get until this is off, as that's what the paper says, unless the doctor says otherwise. And these timelines that I'm telling you is unless the doctor says otherwise. It's not like a strict timeline. It's just what the paper says. So if he says, hey, you need to heal a little longer, unfortunately I'll have to stay in it longer, but hopefully that's not the case. As far as sleeping, I still sleep in a recliner. I've been sleeping in a recliner for the last month and 3 days. It's not fun. And I cannot wait to sleep in a bed again, but right now that's what we're doing. And so we sleep in a recliner, and then I can't wait to get cleared to just sleep in a bed again. That'll be a huge win. But yeah, it's understanding that this sucks right now, but you have to understand that it's just part of it. And as bad as it sounds, it's just part of it. And you do get an ice machine. If they do ask, do you want an ice machine? Absolutely take it. Get the ice machine, because it's a little pad you put on here, and it pumps 33-degree water through this little pad that goes around your shoulder. Life-saving. I ice it now, being 6 days after post-op. Being 6 days post-op would be, I ice it about 3 times to 4 times a day now. So I don't feel like I need to ice it. When I do feel that feeling, I'm like, hey, I'm going to go ice it, and then go from there. So yeah, that's what recovery looks like. That's all I know currently. Like I said, when you do get this surgery, just be ready for when the nerve block wears off. Be ready for that. When it subsides, then you'll learn how to kind of manage the pain the best you can. It's definitely doesn't feel good. I can promise you that. Okay, so I'm going to show you what the exercises look like right now that were in my packet. It's days 5 to 7, as I'm supposed to do these 7 days a week, 4 to 5 times a day, and then some. So here's what the exercises look like. So basically what I do currently is at breakfast, I take the whole sling off, and then I'll do my exercises, and then at lunch I'll take the whole sling off and do my exercises, and at dinner, and then maybe before bed. But now, this will be the second time I've done them today, since this is about 11 o'clock. So I'm going to show you kind of what that entails and what the paper says. It's definitely humbling. When I went to take a shower 2 days post-op, it was a rough time. The shower itself was a rough time, and doing things that you didn't think would ever cause you any problems, it now does. And so it was definitely an emotional moment, I will say. So I can put my shoulder down to my side. Right now I take it off. I'll do 20 elbow extensions just to get blood flowing to the hand. Very, very important. And it feels very helpless, because I look at this side and I can get it up. This side, if I did that, I would scream. I'm not even kidding. And so definitely a very humbling experience. Right now, this doesn't hurt. I'm just moving it to get it blood flowing, and the more I move it, the better it feels. You have to be very careful. You cannot push it, and I know that there's no way to overdo it, because it'll tell you the limit, and it will not let you go past that, I promise. And I'm a pretty tough dude, so not to toot my own horn, but I am, and so that's not something you want to push past, especially since it's healing right now. And yeah, so I'm going to show you the next exercise, and it involves a little bit of a table, something to prop your hand up on. So this right here, I just put my hand on the edge of a table, something about a little lower than waist height or waist height, and then I just kind of lean over. like I'm about to do a dumbbell row, but there's no way I'm going to be able to do that. So basically, oh, flood warning, lovely. We've got like a monsoon of rain. Anyways, I let it hang over like this, and then I'll go back and forth 20 times. And then I'll do a circular motion, clockwise and then counterclockwise. And it just looks like this. Very, very minimal. Not a lot of pain. Very, very tense though. There's a lot of tension. It feels like rubber bands are in there just pulling on each other. And this is about all the mobility I got. So can't do much more with it. I can't get it up higher. I can't move it out, back, across. There's no way I'm reaching across my body unless it's just like my elbow to wash my arm. There's no like shoulder or cross body movement at all. And just please don't push it. The consistency of just this little bit 5 times a day is what matters. Oh. It sucks. This is not a fun process, but it's what is needed, and it's what's needed. So the next thing is shoulder blade pinches. So if you're standing to the side like this, I hope the lighting is working right on the camera. I hope so. Anyways, it's on auto and it like messes with the exposure. So if you do shoulder blade pinches, I'll do 10 of these. Okay, now I'll do shoulder shrugs. Just like a normal lift, I put my hands to my side and let my hand kind of track up my leg to give it some stability. I try to fully extend my elbow before I do this, just to kind of get some blood flowing through the tricep, because it's very tense. Alright. I'll do 20 of these. This doesn't hurt, but the key here is keeping the shoulder muscles locked in, not necessarily tense, but focused and locked in the best you can. Now I'm going to get the sling back on, and then I'll talk about where I'm at right now. One of the other workouts that's on the paper that it said you should do is basically put this in your left hand, which would be my left hand, and you basically externally rotate the shoulder little by little. And I couldn't do that yet because when I had the sling off, and because you're supposed to do it laying down, and when I had the sling off and my shoulder, it's like, you know, when you lay down, your shoulders kind of relax into your bed or onto the floor or whatever. That was a no fly zone. So I didn't do that, and hopefully we'll be able to progress into that in the next 2 weeks. But obviously this first week is very experimental, knowing what you can and can't do, being just a lot of emotional moments, a lot of times where it's like, my goodness, like if I were to compare the pain of the surgery to my dislocation, the dislocation was very painful. The surgery was probably 10 times the pain, but don't let that discourage you, because if that is what you're getting surgery for, it is going to help it later on down the road. It takes you from being where I was at an 85 to 80% dislocation rate, all the way down to when you're fully healed to a 7% dislocation rate. But I have to make sure that whatever I'm doing later on, from here on, I make sure I don't fall on that side again and dislocate it again, because that would not be something I would want, and the surgeon made that very prominent. So dirt bikes obviously are still going to be something I do, still going to be dirt bikes as of now, something I still want to do, still something that I enjoy. Maybe I don't know about racing, but I know riding is still something I enjoy. So that's where I'm at with that right now, if you were wondering. This is what week 1 looks like post-op of labrum surgery and shoulder surgery. I'm not sure if the next video will be 2 weeks in, 3 weeks in, 4 weeks in. I'm not sure, but I do want to make this a series to kind of track the progression. But you can see my mobility, you can see where I'm at currently, how I'm sleeping, my day-to-day life, and yeah, a lot of it's just building Legos, editing videos, playing games. That's pretty much all I can do. Sidelined for a while, but I believe God put me here for a reason, and He put you where you're at for a reason as well. And yeah, that's all I can really do. and we're gonna get better each and every single day. That's all we can do. So if you have surgery coming up, I wish you the best of luck. Pay attention to what the doctor says, listen to everything, and don't take it lightly. Make sure that you are very serious about this, and everything that I've read, you have to be serious about it if you want to gain almost full range of motion back. So thank you guys for watching. I appreciate each and every single one of you, and yeah, this is my life right now. So how lucky are we, man? How lucky are we? See you guys.